What was that? You can make an EDH deck on a budget that's actually competitive? Oh, I can see that. Okay. Oh! I gotta go. So, what's going on, YouTube? Jordan here with Council Gatewatch. We're going to be talking about Bruna the Light of Alabaster today in EDH. One of my favorite decks I've ever made. So, Bruna Light of Alabaster, she's 3, 2 white, and a blue for a legendary creature Angel with flying and vigilance. She's a 5/5. And she reads, whenever Bruna Light of Alabaster attacks or blocks, you may attach to it any number of auras on the battlefield, and you may put onto the battlefield attached to it any number of aura cards that could enchant it from your graveyard and or your hand. So we are either going to be tutoring, drawing into our tutors or our auras, and we're going to be dumping them into our graveyard. So we have several different ways to do it. That's what the whole deck revolves around. Sometimes she can be swinging in for a whole lot of damage. So we're playing Bruna, so we're obviously going to be playing some auras. The first one that we do have is one of my personal favorite, all-star of the deck, and it's under $1 right now. It's Auramancer's Guise. It's 2 and 2 blue for an aura that says enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it and his vigilance. Now, obviously the vigilance doesn't matter, but sometimes she's got 8, 9, 10 auras equipped to her, so that's a +20 in some cases, which is pretty insane. So we are also running a couple other things, like some of the Umbras. You can run your favorites. I just run Eel Umbra in mine, because we are running an Umbra Mystic as well. Now, if you're not familiar with the Umbra auras, they do have Totem Armor, which pretty much say if the equipped creature would die, you destroy the Umbra instead. Now, with Bruna specifically, if you have anything and someone tries to blow her up, they got to use 2 removal spells before your next turn, because you are going to be swinging with her and reattaching it from your graveyard. So, the next all-star aura that we do have is Battle Mastery. Battle Mastery is 2 and a white for an aura. Enchanted creature is double strike. Very straightforward. Double strike. So we only have to buff Bruna for 6 extra damage. So if we have Battle Mastery, Auramancer's Guise, and anything else, she's swinging for lethal if she's not blocked, which a lot of times she isn't. We can run auras that just make her unblockable as well. Now, the next thing that I do want to hit, I'm not going to talk about every single card because it's EDH. So the next thing that I do want to hit is I am playing just a few artifacts, the Lightning Greaves and the Swiftfoot Boots. If you're not familiar with them, welcome to EDH. The Lightning Greaves does give haste and Shroud, and the Swiftfoot Boots give haste and hexproof for relatively low cost. So those are pretty straightforward. I mean, we can search them out with a Fabricate, and also I would like to talk about another aura before we go ahead and move on. Gift of Immortality. It's 2 and a white. It serves almost the same purpose as any of the Umbra with the Totem Armors. It says, enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, and then return Gift of Immortality to the battlefield attached to it at the beginning of the next end step. So if you have an Eel Umbra on it, for example, and Gift of Immortality, they've got to use 3 removal spells, usually in the same phase, because right after that, right after your turn's over, that Gift of Immortality comes back, and then you're either blocking or swinging in with Bruna and adding back that Totem Armor. So the next creature is kind of a wild card, one of my personal favorites. It's called Ajani's Chosen, and Ajani's Chosen, a lot of people are on the fence about that I've talked to about the deck. It's 2 and 2 white for a Cat Soldier. He's a 3/3. And he reads, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a 2/2 white cat creature token onto the battlefield. If that enchantment is an aura, you may attach it to the token. So we're not going to be suiting up our tokens, obviously. But however, sometimes you're getting, again, 7, 8, 9, 10 2/2s off of this. you know, if we go ahead and mill ourselves enough to where we have a ton of auras in our graveyard, and then swinging in with Bruna, attach them all, you get a 2/2 for each one on top of all the other pluses you're going to get for those entering. So, after Johnny's chosen, we are going to go ahead and move on to two of my favorite Premier cards in the deck. One of my favorites is Traumatize. If you're not familiar with Traumatize, it's 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Wish it was an instant, but it's definitely good enough to run in the deck. It says target player puts the top half of his or her library rounded down into his or her graveyard. So usually you play this on turn 4 or turn 5, and you mill 40, 45, 43 cards. And then after that, the next turn you swing it in with Bruna, and you attach 7, 8, 9. You get your triggers off of Johnny's Chosen. You get on +10/+10 off of Warmancer's Guise, and you can add Double Strike. I mean, it's insane. This Traumatize wins almost every time, whether they try to remove Bruna or not. Now, we do have a smaller version of this as well. It's called Mirror Mad Phantasm. It's a creature from Innistrad. It's 3 and 2 blue for a spirit. He's a 5/1 flyer. Now, all of that is irrelevant except the mana cost. The real important part is you can pay 1 and a blue, then you can shuffle it into your library, and then you reveal the top until you reveal him. Once you reveal him, you put him on the battlefield, and then all the rest of those cards you revealed go to your graveyard. Absolutely insanity. It's instant speed. You don't have to tap in. You can do it multiple times. So if you have 6 mana, you can do it 3 times in one turn at the end of your opponent's turn. So it's almost like a more risky Traumatize, but if you get that Mirror Mad Phantasm on the bottom half of your deck, you're going to be milling 60, 70 cards sometimes, because it is singleton format. So Mirror Mad Phantasm is pretty crazy. So I do want to move on to the tutors next. The first one that we do have is Fabricate. It's just 2 and a blue for a sorcery. It says search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So Swiftfoot Boots or Lightning Greaves. That's it. It's just an additional copy of those. So we definitely want some tutors for those. We do have some other things in here that we can go ahead and use for that. However, one of those is Open the Armory. If you're not familiar with Open the Armory as well, that was fairly recent in Shadows. So last year? It's 1 and a white for a sorcery that says search your library for an aura or enchantment card. I'm sorry, aura or equipment. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So it's almost a better Fabricate for this specific deck. It costs 1 less, and it searches any aura or equipment that we want to throw on Bruna at any given time. So, also, another one of my favorite tutors we can go ahead with is 3 Dreams. Now, this is one of those cards that's not really well known, but whenever you play it, someone goes, wait a second, you're tutoring 3? 3 Dreams, it's 4 and a white for a sorcery. It just says search your library for up to 3 aura cards with different names. It's EDH, all of our auras have different names. And then you reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. So with this, you can have lethal with Bruna. So turn 5, you play 3 Dreams. You grab your Warmancer's Guise, your Battle Mastery, and any other aura, and you're swinging with at least 22 damage on turn 6 if you can give her haste. So if you have either one of the boots out, the boots or the greaves, you play 3 Dreams on turn 5, you play Bruna on turn 6, and you equip her up and swing and add all of them from your hand. Even if it's just 3, you have lethal on turn 6. That's insane. Man, I love this deck. Going back to the whole Traumatize thing, we do have one more. It's called Increasing Confusion. Now, Increasing Confusion, it's X and a blue, target player mills X. Or it has Flashback for X and a blue, target player mills twice times X. So if you pay 10, you're milling 20. So this is a late game all-star, or if you mill it off of something else, it can really be helpful just to give you that extra little oomph that you need. Going back to a couple more tutors here, we do have Heliod's Pilgrim, which is fairly popular in several formats. She's 2 and a white for a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for an aura card and put it in your hand, reveal it, shuffle. So again, we are running a lot of tutors. Luckily, the tutors for this deck aren't crazy like a Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor. Those are crazy expensive. So another thing is, we are running things like Factor Fiction. There are several effects like this. Factor Fiction is a 3 and a blue for an instant. Reveal the top 5 cards. Any opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. You put 1 in your hand and 1 in your graveyard. So all we're doing is digging for auras. So you pay 4, get 5 cards. It's no card disadvantage. If you need a land, grab it. If you need a counter, grab it. Either way, Bruna's going to attach those auras that you reveal off of this from anywhere, unless an opponent exiles it, which has happened in the past, but we do have a couple repeat effects like that Totem Armor, like that Unblockable, like the Protection. So, also we do have a couple other almost draw creatures. One of them is Jace's Archivist. It's 1 and 2 blue for a Vedalken Wizard. She's a 2/2. Can pay a blue and tap her. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. This is hilarious against draw decks. So if you're playing against a Nekusar, yeah, they have 20 cards in their hand with a Thought Vessel. They discard everything. Everyone draws 20. Again, Bruna has lethal. And she's a 3-drop. So, she's not too shabby. Again, I believe she's under $1 as well. So we do have a couple other creatures in the deck. Things like Merfolk Looter, 1 in a blue, tap a, draw a card, discard a card. We do have some counters in the deck. Just run your favorites. One of my favorites is Swan Song. It's a 1 blue instant, counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell, and then give that player that casted the spell a 2/2 bird. That's it. So it's a 1-cost counter. So if you do go ahead and play this in your build, it's hilarious because you've got 1 blue open. We are playing one other a 1-cost blue counter. Now that is Turn Aside. Now it's a 1-drop instant. It says counter target spell that counters a permanent you control. So extra protection for Bruna. So if you play Bruna, someone tries to counter it, you say Turn Aside for 1. So you have 1 mana open. If you have 7 mana and you cast her, you can play Turn Aside to protect her. That's really, really excellent, and you know that's the same with Swan Song, really. So one of my other favorite counters that I'm going to touch on, and then we'll go ahead and move on, is Last Word. Last Word is something that I recently stumbled upon. It's 2 and 2 blue, and it says Last Word can't be countered by spells or abilities, counter target spells. So it guarantees your spells to resolve when you need them to. I do want to touch on one of my favorite utility creatures in here. It's called Umbra Mystic. She is 2 and a white for a human wizard, 2/2. And she says, auras attached to permanents you control have totem armor. So it gives all of your auras totem armor. This is insanity. When you have 8, 9, 10 on the field, they all have totem armor. So you have to use 13 removal spells to get rid of Bruna unless you get rid of the auras. So she really is very useful in really sealing out the game after you do have a bunch of auras out. Now, there are 2 cards that I do want to touch on. I'm not running them in this build. Like I said, it is a budget build. Celestial Mantle. It is about $6 right now, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It's 5 and 3 white for an aura. It says enchanted creature gets +3/+3, but when it gets in for combat damage, you double your life total. So you can easily get up to 160 life with this. It's pretty insane. But again, if you're going for a budget build, don't run it. If you have the extra few bucks, go ahead and get it. Same goes for Eldrazi Conscription. This is really the biggest, baddest enchantment you can possibly play. It's 8 colorless, and it just says enchanted creature gets +10/+10, has trample and Annihilator 2. So again, if you have the extra 9-10 bucks to spend, go ahead and grab it. But to be honest, you might as well spend it on better mana rocks than that. By the way, the mana base, it's very flexible because we are in 2 colors. That's it. Just 2 colors. And then we're going to be running a goat. Goat? We're not running goats. Anyway. Feel free to do what you want with the mana base. I personally run a Mana Vault. It's one of my pet cards. However, those can get fairly expensive too. We do have Mana Crypt and all that, but you can stick to basics if you really need to. There are several budget dual lands out there. There's tap lands, there's the slow lands, there's the creature lands. So you can really do whatever you want with the mana base. Make it your own, you know. Don't go out and completely net deck. This is just a tech to help you out, you know. So just if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. Tell me what you think. What do you guys want to see next? Do you guys want to see another EDH deck tech? Do you guys want to see a standard deck tech? You know, I can do whatever you guys want. So I do want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the content and you'd like more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the bottom. It helps me out a lot. And just to let you guys know, you can pick up a copy of Bruna or any of these other cards if you want to make her. It's a pretty awesome deck, one of my favorites ever. You can go ahead and follow the link in the description to go ahead and purchase her or any of these other cards if you would like. And this is Jordan signing off, and peace out!